This is question 1 of my evaluation, using, developing or challenging forms and conventions. I'm going to talk about trailer conventions first. I have been looking at the mise-en-scène of Shutter Island, Dream House and Ghost. Dream House and Ghost are all set in a house or around the surrounding areas of a house. The directors have done this because they want to bring the world that the audience live in and portray on the screen. So they're showing houses and they're showing all these bad events that happen in these houses. So they're basically saying to the audience, these things can also happen to you. Also, for the mise-en-scène of Shutter Island, they haven't used houses, which is sometimes a conventional use of mise-en-scène, but they've instead based it on an island, which makes everything more isolated and therefore more intense for the audience. For the mise-en-scène for my trailer, I have also followed the conventions of Dream House and Ghost by setting mine in a house, because I also wanted to create that personal connection between my trailer and my audience by using a house to make it more fearful. And as I said before, I want the audience to think that all these bad events happening in the house in my trailer could also happen to them. This is a general overview of the characters in Shutter Island, Dream House and Ghost, because I will go into it in more detail on the next slide. But for Shutter Island, you have the protagonist, who is Teddy Daniels, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and the rest of the characters are supporting characters who are mainly helpers, because he is an inspector. And then you have Dream House, where you have a nuclear family, and the father is the dominant male who is the protagonist and is protecting his family. Then you have Ghost, where you have a conventional heterosexual couple who are in love. And next to that picture of Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore, you have the character of Oda Mae Brown, played by Whoopi Goldberg. She is the helper in Ghost. These are the characters in my trailer. On the top left corner, you have the protagonist. The protagonist is Dan, and he cannot be seen by the girl he has to protect and whom he loves, who is called Mia, who is the damsel in distress. Just like the conventional use of the protagonist in Ghost, he cannot be seen by anyone or the girl he loves, but he has to stop the villain from attacking the damsel in distress, who is played by Demi Moore. So both my protagonist and the protagonist in Ghost both have to fight to save the people they love, because they have this supernatural element that's stopping them, because both of them cannot be seen. Next, you have the character of the helper, shown on the top right corner. For example, the helper in Ghost is Oda Mae Brown, just like Kate in my trailer, who is the helper. Their job is to aid the protagonist so that they can both protect their damsels in distress. The similarity with this conventional character is that Oda Mae Brown is reluctant to help the protagonist, and so is Kate. But the difference is that Oda Mae Brown is reluctant because in the beginning of the film she's quite selfish, so she doesn't want to help the protagonist because she feels something bad will happen to her, whilst Kate is reluctant because she's more fearful, but it shows her more as a victim more than someone selfish. They both have to give key information to the protagonist, which is what my character, the helper, Kate, does in my trailer. So I feel I'm following conventions of the helper character. Then you have at the bottom left corner, it says mistaken villain. It's the male figure he's got black clothing on at the door. In Dream House, they have a male villain, which is shown at the end of the trailer, with 2 long shots at the end to hint to the audience that he is the villain. And we kept to conventions because we too have used a male villain. But because we have a supernatural element to our trailer, the fantasy element, we've made him more mysterious by using black clothing to cover his identity, so people don't know whether he's human or not, to make it more to make him more scary, which is not really keeping with the conventions of Dreamhouse, but we're still using a male villain. However, we have not kept to the conventions of the conventional villain, because the male villain I was just talking about is a mistaken villain. He's a fake villain. He's only there to disguise the real villain, who is Kate, the helper, which is hinted at the end, where she's wearing a hoodie, which is shown in the picture at the bottom right, where the audience wouldn't realize it was Kate because the hoodie is protecting or hiding her identity. So we are revealing at the end that the male villain is not actually the real villain. Just like in Dreamhouse, where they use 2 long shots to show the real villain, because during the middle of the trailer, they're saying that the protagonist is the one who killed his own family, but at the end, these 2 long shots reveal that the man coming out of the train is actually the real villain. It's the helper. The helper becoming a villain is not a conventional use of these 2 characters, but we felt it created more of a shock and a surprise when the audience come to watch the film, because it's creating more intensity. This is now the camera shots and camera angles of Shutter Island, and I'm comparing it to my trailer. For the first top left shot, you see Leonardo DiCaprio in a close-up. This is because the cinematographer wanted to show the deep emotion in his eyes, which is what we did with Kate with the picture on the right, where we're showing a close-up view of her face to show the emotion that she's fearful, and it indicates to the audience that there's something watching them while watching the characters, which creates more of a tense feeling. For the bottom left shot, we have medium shots of Shutter Island. Shutter Island uses these medium shots to show scenery in the background with the character, just to show normality, but we haven't stuck to those conventions because we wanted to use medium shots for more intense scenes, like the fight scene, which is shown on the right, because we wanted to show the whole action, the whole bodies of the characters, to see the punching actions and kicking actions. This is a continuation of camera shots and angles. In Shutter Island, they use zooming out shots or zooming in shots. This is to establish that these are the characters we will be following as an audience. But we haven't, me and my group, we haven't used the zooming out shots or zooming in shots to establish characters. We've instead used them to create intensity in the scenes. For example, this bathroom shot, this bath shot of the girl in the bath, because the camera's zooming out from her, it's as if the villain took a sneak peek at her and is now moving away from her, indicating that something is about to happen. The Shutter Island trailer has used a 360-degree shot from a high angle of Teddy Daniels, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, to show his disjointed mind, because he's actually a patient at the asylum, not an inspector. We have kept to those conventions and used a 180-degree shot of different shots, like this window shot on the right. But we're not symbolizing a disjointed mind of our protagonist like Shutter Island is. We're showing a disjointed world through this 180-degree shot. Shutter Island uses high shots This because they want to make the shot look obscure, and it is a unnatural view for an audience member, so it's linking to the asylum setting that they've created, but it also shows how claustrophobic the rooms are, making it more intense. But we haven't used high shots for those reasons. We've only used high shots to show that something is significant. For example, we used a high shot for the diary shot to show that the diary has a huge part to play in the film. This is narrative, and I've been looking at Dreamhouse for examples of narrative. On the top left hand corner you have a family, and which shows a very normal life, which is called Equilibrium, where evil and good are in balance, which is a study from Todorov, a practitioner. We have also kept to those conventions by using a heterosexual couple to show they're in love, which is normal. Next of Todorov's study, you have Disequilibrium, where now evil is in charge or is in control. For example, the bottom left shot, it says Peter Ward Slaughterhouse. It's revealed that something bad has happened in that, has happened in that house. Whereas our Disequilibrium is when the protagonist Dan opens the diary, because at this point he's engulfed into the sinister and controlling world of Kate, the real villain. Next, what usually happens in Dreamhouse is they're given more information with what is happening. For example, with Dreamhouse, they use CCTV shots of Daniel Craig in the asylum, suggesting that he actually killed his family. Whereas in our trailer, we have used Kate the Helper to explain that something bad has happened to him and that he is in the diary now, and that the only way he can get out of it is to protect Mia. So there is, at these points of the trailers, it's where information is shown. During the end shots of trailers, the conventional use of them is to show fights between the villain and the protagonist, because the protagonist is trying to protect his loved ones, especially in Dreamhouse, which creates more of an intensity at the end of the trailer, which we have kept to those conventions by Dan, our protagonist, fighting the mistaken villain to save Mia. Next is editing, and I've been looking at Shutter Island for editing. For the beginning of Shutter Island's trailer, they have used a fade to colour effect, which is like a blinking effect where it goes from the shot, then emerges to a black screen, and then goes to the next shot, because it keeps the pace quite calm, and it also is revealing all these establishing shots which are quite sinister. So when you juxtapose both of these two things, the calm transitions and the sinister establishing shots, it makes it quite eerie. Whilst with our trailer, we've also used a fade to colour effect, but we have shown establishing shots, but then we go on to show the normality of the world that we've created with the third shot of my trailer, where you see Mia and Dan, heterosexual couple in love, and then the next shot we show our protagonist. So we're kind of moving on quite quickly from establishing shots, whereas the beginning establishing shots of Shutter Island are still dwelling on the scenery. This is a continuation of editing, and I'm now showing the ending of Shutter Island's trailer and how the editors edited this. They've used heightened action shots, lots of different heightened action shots from their film, and used and cut the shots down to make everything very pacey. We have also conformed to these conventions by doing this, and we've used heightened action shots, such as the first shot with the fight between the protagonist and villain, and the third shot where you see Mia being drowned. So these are very high action shots. However, we're not making every shot high actioned, because we wanted to reveal to the audience that we were misleading them by making them think that the man dressed in black is the actual villain. So from these high action shots, we flick back to the villain walking towards the house, then flick back to Mia drowning, and then flick back to the real villain, who was actually Kate the Helper, because we wanted to hint that there's a twist in the story which will attract them. But it's still, we're still keeping that fast pace. This is the sound for Dream House. For the beginning of the trailer, they use a lullaby song, which is quite sinister because the lullabies are mainly to keep children calm, but it is completely out of place with the low-key lighting, which is quite menacing. We also do that with the use of a dark piano music, and it's juxtaposed with the dark lighting that we use, so we're keeping up with conventions of Dream House's sound. A quarter into the trailer of Dream House, they use a slowed down version of the lullaby, which is quite menacing because they're trying to reveal something is about to happen. Whilst we've used quietened piano music, so we have stuck to conventions because we want to use the music as a trigger to tell or to inform our audience that something bad is about to happen as well. Dream House have used dramatic music when they show a twist in the trailer, which is when, for example, when they reveal that the protagonist, the dad, Daniel Craig, could have possibly killed his own family. Whilst we've used that dramatic music, which is the banging drums, for action scenes more than revealing scenes, so we haven't really stuck to conventions with this type of music. At the end of the trailer of Dream House, they go back to the lullaby, which is quite sinister because it's as if they are concluding the story, and it's quite sinister because it's a complete contrast to the shot where you see peeling walls with this young girl walking up the stairs. We have followed these conventions because we're also trying to conclude the story by going back to the dark piano music we had at the beginning of the trailer. And it's sinister, just like Dream House, because the villain suddenly stops walking away from us and turns around, and then it goes to a black screen, showing that we've concluded the story. We have also added in narration. The character talking is Kate the Helper, who is actually the villain. She explains why she takes people into her diary because they need danger and she can help them with this. Just like the trailer, we need to talk about Kevin, which is Kevin is shown on the right picture, where he also explains why he has killed the students in his school. The narration helps the thrillers to build tension because this mysterious voice is speaking, but you don't know the identity, and it also helps the audience to understand the story. Now I'll be talking about the posters. Dream House's poster uses a lot of symbolism in the image. This is because they use a long shot of the two daughters. The girls' dresses blend into the wall because the editor is hinting that in the film the mother and daughters are dead, but are seen during the film because they are a figment of Daniel Craig's character's imagination. And they died in the house, therefore they are half blended into the house to show that they are not really there, rather his imagination. One of the little girls also looks back at the camera, which gives a sense of the chilling and thrilling genre. Also, the girls are holding hands, which hints that the story shows an innocent family. And also, additionally, the flooring and walls are dirty, to represent how long it takes for Daniel Craig's character to realise that his family are actually dead. So there is a lot of symbolism in the imagery. Then I'm going to talk about lead actors. They have not put an image of the lead characters, however they have put their names at the top of the poster, and they've made them quite fairly large. They also did this because the actors are A-listers, meaning they're also using the famous actors to market the film. They also have logos of the companies that have worked with the film. Then with the strapline, they've kind of made it like a fairy tale story, which complements the title, but it juxtaposes against the image, showing that the strapline shows this is like a dark fairy tale. For the film title, it is at the bottom of the page, underneath the girls' feet. They did this because they want to keep the main focus on the girls for their target audience to try and gather what their film is about. They made the D and the E letters bigger than the rest of the fonts, and some of the text has been slightly rotated to create this sense of dreaminess. The title will be interesting to the target audience because one would think that the film will be magical due to the title, but the image tells a different story, suggesting a twist within the storyline. This is the poster of Shutter Island, and I'm going to be looking at imagery first. The editor has used an establishing shot of the whole island. This is to emphasize the dreariness and the isolation of the island, which has hardly any light and is surrounded by mist. These are images an audience would usually associate with eerie locations. Also, above is the main character, Teddy Daniels, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. He seems to be emerging from the darkness and is only half seen because of the match, highlighting the lack of light, which creates tension as it's indicating that this is a dark film. Moreover, the lighting on the whole is low-key, but the editor has used lots of blues around the bottom of the image as it contrasts to the black island, making the island stand out more, emphasizing isolation. Next is the leading actors. The editor has not placed many of the actors on the front of the page, but has instead only placed the main actor. This is because he seems to be isolated by the darkness surrounding him, but also it is because Leonardo DiCaprio is an A-lister. Therefore, they're trying to sell their film to their target audience through the use of DiCaprio's fame and success as an actor. They have also used a billing box and logos, which is conventional for a poster, and also with the strapline. The strapline is hinting to the audience what will happen in the film, and it's suggesting that Leonardo DiCaprio's character Teddy is being trapped on the island. This is shown at the end of the film when it's revealed that he is actually the missing asylum patient, and he is actually trapped on the island because he is a patient. Therefore, he's not an inspector, but the inspector he created is a fantasy. Finally, this is the film title of Shutter Island. The effect is like faded paint on a wall. This links with the story of Shutter Island because firstly, it is set in a rundown asylum for the craziest people in America. Therefore, the walls will have peeling, faded and scratched paint, all shown in the film title. Also, it's as if the film title is acting like the island, as the island is covered in mist, and the etching effect around the film title makes it look as if it's also being surrounded by mist, therefore showing a combination between the film title and the image. This is the poster for We Need to Talk About Kevin. For the imagery, the editor has done a completely different image to the last two posters. Instead, they are showing the thriller element of the film through the facial expressions of the two actors. For example, the boy at the bottom of the image is staring straight at the audience with a sinister look as he bends his head down, but is still looking up at us. It makes him slightly demented and threatening to us. Whilst the woman on the top of the image, she looks quite worried and troubled because of her deep-set eyes. Both these facial expressions shown from these two characters are typical emotions shown in a thriller, and explains to the audience that something bad is going to happen in the film that can be tense. Similarly, the film title is surrounded by a white border that is between the two characters, which could signify that they have some sort of relationship in the film. Although in this image they are portrayed as complete contrasts, creating more excitement for the film. For lead actors, they have both the main actors on the image, but also they have put 3 of the main actors at the top of the poster. This will attract the famous actors' fans, such as Tilda Swinton's and John C. Reilly's fans, but it would also widen their target audience, as they are reassuring that there will be good quality acting in the film. They also have a billing box and logo. Instead of a strap line, they have reviews. They've added reviews to show their target audience that this is a good quality film, but also the choice of words such as earth-shattering gives the impression that this is more than a great film. Finally, for the film title, the film title is very basic, showing that there are no supernatural elements like the other 2 posters, and that it is set in modern day. They've made Kevin large because they obviously want to make a statement that there is something wrong with the boy at the bottom of the image, therefore indicating part of the plot through the use of the title. This is now my poster. For the image, I've followed conventions of Dreamhouse because they use symbolism. They make the girls blend into the wall because they are actually dead, because their father is imagining them, hence the reason why they are half blended into the wall. I did this by using black smoke, as black in my trailer represents evil, shown through the mistaken villain's black clothing. The smoke then symbolises the supernatural element of my film because it is revealing the villain behind the protagonist, and it's not naturalistic. Also, the smoke is wrapping itself around the protagonist, who is the boy in the picture, to engulf him into the diary. So I'm using symbolism, which is a convention for posters. I have added lead actors, the 2 main actors on the poster in the image, and I've also added the 4 main actors' names at the top. This is because I'm selling my film on the success of the actors, just like Dreamhouse, so I'm following conventions. I've added a billing box, which is a convention, and a certificate. Not many posters have a certificate, but I thought by having a rating of 15 on the poster would attract my target audience, as many of my target audience are attracted to higher age rated films because it gives more of a thrill to them. Logos, I haven't added as many logos as we would talk about Kevin, as their poster has many logos underneath because of aesthetic purposes. I feel it would be too many logos would just make everything even more busy than it already is. I've also added a strap line, just like Shutter Island has. I'm trying to reveal what will happen in the film by hinting that there will be a twist in the film through the use of my strap line, just like Shutter Island has done. I also have a film title. I haven't followed the conventions because if you look at Shutter Island's title, it has etching and symbolism because of the mist wrapped around it. But I have made mine very simple because of my poster, due to it already being busy, and to add another element of texture would just be a bit too much, and it might possibly not attract my target audience. I've also added reviews, just like the film We Need to Talk About Kevin's poster. I've added them because I think it will emphasize to my audience that this is a good quality film with good quality acting, because that's what We Need to Talk About Kevin's editor was aiming for. So I think I've followed conventions there. Now we're moving on to websites. The website we're looking at is Shutter Island's website. The image, the editor has used the exact same image as the poster to show a combination between the 2 texts. The only difference is that because the website is landscape, they have to fill more of the page. Therefore, the editor has to extend the image of the poster, such as showing more of the water and the mist around the island, also lowering Leonardo DiCaprio's face so it's nearer to the mist, as this is a landscape page. Whilst on the poster there was a larger gap between the mist and his face. They have used social networking buttons because this invites the viewers to share their views on the film. This makes the site more interactive. They've also used logos, and their film title is the exact same film title as their poster, as it creates a combination between the poster and website and acts as an identity for the film. They also have pictures of the DVDs. The editor is advertising not just through the trailer, but also adding pictures of the DVD creates advertising. Similarly, when you hover over the DVDs, it gives you an option to order online. This is more persuasive to buy the DVD because they are telling their viewers that they just have to click this button and they can buy it, rather than having to shop for it. So it's much more persuasive. They also have a navigational menu. They put the menu around the film title probably because the viewer will see the title straight away due to it being in the center of the page. Therefore, they will also see the menu bar straight away, making it more noticeable for their viewers, rather than having the menu at the top of the page, which might not be as noticeable. They also have added an embedded trailer. They've placed the trailer at the top of the page and moved DiCaprio's face to the left. This is because most of the website is covered with the image, and therefore it is best to put the trailer on empty space, such as the black space at the top next to his face. This is Zero Dark Thirty's website, another thriller. For the imagery, the image they've used is the exact same image as the poster, just like Shutter Island, because they also want to create combination between the two texts. Also, because the website is landscape, and surrounding the main image is black empty space, means the editor has to fill the space with reviews. They've added star and worded reviews such as utterly intense, and so they have added short reviews on the side of the image to help enlarge the main image, which helps to cover the black empty space surrounding that image. Also, they have added two large boxes at the top to cover the space, the black space at the top of the main image. These boxes are the major nominations and awards in the film. Therefore, they are advertising whilst filling the empty spaces. They also have a navigational menu. They have placed the menu at the top of the page on a different colour. This is to separate the menu bar from the main image, which makes the menu more noticeable, as it would just blend into the reviews, as they would have to still use a white font for the navigational menu to keep with the colour scheme if they place the menu bar on the black space. Unlike Shutter Island, there is no embedded trailer, but the trailer can be seen from the navigational menu where it says videos. Probably because they don't want to take away from the image and the reviews, therefore the trailer is on a separate link. Also, they have social networking buttons just like Shutter Island to also create an interactive website. They have logos, and their film title also creates a combination between the poster and the website to create an identity for the film. Zero Dark Thirty's website has many reviews. They have shown star ratings and worded reviews like riveting to be able to assure their viewers that this is a quality film. This is my website. The image is just like the way Shutter Island and Zero Dark 30 have used their images. They've taken it from their posters to create a combination between the two texts. Also, Shutter Island has extended their image by using more water and mist. I've also done this by extending the diary's writing in the background and making the smoke come from the left to the page where the two characters are, and making it wrap around the trailer so that the trailer is also being included with the image. I have used my film title, strapline, leading actors, reviews and my certificate all from my poster because I want to create combination between my poster and website. I have added social networking buttons to show an interactive site just like Shutter Island Zero Dark 30's website. I've also added a navigational menu, but I've put mine at the very top of the page because anywhere else on the page would just make the website's image too busy. But I have followed conventions because Zero Dark 30 also do that. I also have an embedded trailer just like Shutter Island because I feel it gives more to the page, and you wouldn't have to go click on another button to go and find the trailer.